thank all of you guys for coming in today. My name is Rachel Prescott, and I'm going to talk to you about a subject that has been very near and dear to my heart after an experience I had this summer in Brazil working with orphans that were born with HIV. First of all, I'd just like to ask each one of you, how many of you personally know anybody with HIV? Raise your hand. Okay, very good. And you can keep these questions to yourself, but how many of you really know what HIV is? How it can infect somebody, what it does to the body, things like that. You see, before I went to Brazil this summer, I really had no idea about HIV. I didn't know anybody who had the disease, and I really didn't understand what HIV was about or how you could get this disease. And like many people in the world today, you know, we have a lot of misconceptions about HIV, misconceptions about how somebody can get HIV, misconceptions about how it affects the body or the health treatments for it. And today, I'm going to, over the next several minutes, talk to you about how you can get HIV. I'm going to talk to you about how it affects the body and hopefully replace those misconceptions for you. So let's get started. How someone can become infected with HIV. First of all, I want to give you some statistics about HIV. Globally, 33.4 million people have HIV, and that was done from a study done in 2008 by UNAIDS. In the United States alone, 1.1 million adolescents and adults have HIV. That's 12.3% of the population. In Tennessee, 14,222 adults and adolescents have HIV. That's 9.6% of the population. And in Nashville, where we're at today, 4,364 adults and adolescents. That's 12.9% of the population in Nashville. And those statistics were from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Ways you can become infected with HIV are through blood, semen, vaginal transmission, also through breast milk, babies whose mothers have HIV. You can have unprotected sex and get it, unprotected oral sex, sharing needles or syringes, and you don't have to be a drug addict, and you don't have to be a gay man, those are some of the misconceptions, to get HIV. HIV infects anybody who does any one of these things. Also, HIV cannot be spread by holding hands with somebody, giving somebody a kiss, by giving somebody a hug, by touching a doorknob or a toilet seat, breathing the air, and even the misconception of mosquitoes. I always thought that you could get it from mosquitoes, but you cannot get HIV from mosquitoes. So now that we've cleared up some of the misconceptions about how you can get HIV, I'd like to explain to you about how HIV works in the body. The human's body has a defense mechanism called the immune system. And the immune system fights off all of our viruses that are caused by bacteria or anything like that. And so these special cells attach themselves to the bad viruses or bacteria, things like that. And they take them to the T cells. Well, the T cells are always asleep until they get woken up by these special cells. Once the special cells wake up the T cells are like, oh yeah, this is an invader, we got to do something about this. So the T cells multiply and they break down this bacteria and they beat it. Well, HIV is sneaky. HIV does not notice, these special cells don't notice HIV. And so because they go unnoticed, it begins to attack the T cells and reproduce itself in the T cells. Now naturally, our body reproduces cells all the time. So the old cells die off and then reproduce new cells. Well, because the T cells don't know what's going on, they don't know that they're being invaded because they haven't been woken up, they are being replaced with HIV inside of them. And so that's how HIV works in the body. Now, the treatments for HIV are very important. It's very important that people go to the doctor all the time and see their doctors on all their regular visits, and it's very important that they take their treatments in a timely manner. These treatments do not cure HIV. There is misconceptions that they do, and they do not. All they do is stabilize it so it will no longer reproduce inside of the T cells. Now you can see that there are many misconceptions about HIV, and I hope that these misconceptions will help you understand more about what HIV is, and that you can't get it by just being kind to somebody with HIV. One of the things that I realized while I was in Brazil is that these kids are very rejected because of their HIV. And I think that they're rejected not on purpose, but because there is a fear out there about HIV and the way that you can get it, and that fear comes from the misconceptions. And so my hope today, now that I have taught you about how you can get HIV and how it affects the body, is that you will feel free to show loving kindness to someone with HIV and not fear them and decide not to have any sort of relationship with them. Before I went to Brazil, I had many people ask me, well, aren't you afraid of getting HIV? And to be honest, I didn't know what to expect. I really wasn't sure because I was so uneducated about it. And through this process, I asked for help and to be educated, and I was. And I was able to show just this amazing kindness and love to these kids. And the experience was so wonderful. And I hope that today you'll be able to do the same as well. Thank you very much.